they could be deflated at this point. So I'm going to stay away from a side. I'm just going to play a prop here. And one that I love is Bucky Irving to go over 80.5 rushing yards. He's one of the most explosive backs in the country. His speed was on full display last week against Washington. Carried the ball 22 times for 127 yards and a touchdown. He looked really good. He was great between the tackles. He was really good in the outside zone game. He also had 6 catches for 34 yards. That just shows how important he was to that Oregon offense last week. I know they didn't come through. I think there were some questionable coaching moves down the stretch that cost them that game. But Bucky Irving is a mainstay in this offense, whether they are winning or losing. When you look at Washington State, they're not a good run defense. They're giving up 147 yards per game on the ground, which is not good. Bo Nix passing prop here set at 295.5. This is a very fair line. The Cougars do allow a lot of yards through the air, but I think this game could lean towards Oregon pretty quickly. I'm not saying I want to lean the 20.5 points, but I'd rather go towards Bucky Irving's rush line here than play Bo Nix's passing prop, as I think Oregon could keep this game on the ground pretty consistently, and that's going to benefit Irving for sure. So going to lean towards his over at 80.5 rushing yards. Nick Saban on his show tonight down in Tuscaloosa was saying how important it is for the fans to be locked into this football game. Tennessee +9 may seem like a little bit of a gift on the road, even against Alabama. We saw it against Ole Miss. Ole Miss entered Tuscaloosa as a 7-point dog. That looked very appealing. It wasn't. Alabama came through. The bottom line in this game, you fade Joe Milton on the road. Milton has not been tested that much over the course of his career. We saw him down in Gainesville in the Swamp. He was very, very bad in that football game, made some questionable decisions, and that's Tennessee's lone loss on the season. They were not good at all, and it all started with Joe Milton. He can't perform on the road. I think we're going to see a similar result in this game. Alabama, very good team, great on defense right now. They are a little questionable on offense with Jalen Milroe, but he's actually been better and better by the week. That's been positive to see, because when he played Texas at home, he was absolutely terrible, was not making any reads at all, very questionable decision-making there. But like you were saying, I think this is a great revenge spot for the Crimson Tide. The spread is 9 points for a reason, and I think we're going to see Alabama come out, assert their will on the ground. We're going to see some big plays by Milroe, whether it's through the air or with his legs, as we've seen over the past few weeks. And Joe Milton's going to make some killer mistakes, because you fade Joe Milton on the road. Man has not been tested, and I'm not going to bet on this spot after what I saw him do against the Florida Gators in the Swamp. Yeah, just going back to we're on to Cincinnati comment. Those were the glory days. Now it's pretty sad here, and that I just reminisce about the good old days with the Patriots. But anyways, I love this prop in this Baylor versus Cincinnati game. Blake Shapen, quarterback for Baylor, over 238.5 passing yards. He has been very good this season, and sportsbooks have not caught up to his production. He's only played in 3 games, but he has 920 passing yards in those 3 games with 4 touchdowns. Now, I don't know if he'll be able to find a lot of scoring chances against this Bearcats defense, but I do expect Baylor to be throwing the ball pretty heavily in this game. Threw for 303 against Texas State, 293 against UCF, and then 324 against Texas Tech. Now, Baylor's one flaw is they can't stop the run, but this is music to my ears for a passing prop for Baylor, because if they can't stop the run, Cincinnati should put up a decent amount of points there, and Baylor could be playing from behind in this game. The Bears want to throw the football consistently. They're averaging 279 passing yards per game. Cincinnati, again, plays well on defense, but I think we're going to see Baylor playing from behind. And when they do play from behind, they quickly resort to throwing the football down the field here. So Blake Shapen over this passing line, very, very appealing here. And I think that's the better way to go than playing a side in a tight game and one that's tough to pick a side in. I'm seeing a lot of sharp people on Penn State in this spot. I'm going to be on Penn State here. When you look at the Nittany Lions, they have not been tested, but they've beaten the teams they're supposed to beat by a lot of points, and that does count for something. The biggest complaint I have with Penn State over the years, they haven't been able to win that big game under James Franklin. This is the big game that Penn State needs to win, because you get Michigan in a couple weeks coming to Happy Valley, which sets up a Big Ten East, unofficial Big Ten East championship game. Same thing for Ohio State. If they can win this, they get Michigan at the end of the year for an unofficial Big Ten East championship game. Will likely decide who goes to the Big Ten title game there. But I look at Penn State, +4.5, +5.5. This line's moving around a little bit. They have the team to beat Ohio State. Drew Aller's been very good this season. He has not turned the ball over. He has been consistent getting the ball down the field. And Penn State's really done a nice job leaning on the run and alternating between the run and the pass. When I look at this Ohio State team, there are some flaws there. but you just can't get beat over the top. That's their biggest way to beat you on offense. They really don't like to pound the ball. They like to throw it down the field with Marvin Harrison Jr., and Penn State's been good in the secondary. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Penn State actually face a reputable team in Ohio State, but they have the talent to get around and maneuver this team and find a way to at least cover the spread on the road. I think this is a 3-point game either way, and that means Penn State's going to be within this 4.5 line. So look for Drew Allard to have a good day. Look for this Penn State defense to be very cautious with how they handle Marvin Harrison Jr. If they can limit him, I think they win this game.